Pain heals. Chicks dig scars. Glory lasts forever.
Caitlin Clark will be a bench player when she comes back to the Indiana Fever. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. Appreciate all your support. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Shout out to the 19, of course. Let's go. So that is now. Look, let me back up a second on that because I want to get into what I obviously started out with. Is it possible because of all the time that she missed that Caitlin Clark comes back off the bench to start? Yes. Yes, it is. Absolutely. It's happened with star players before. And then when she gets her legs under her and she can go more, she ends up back in the starting lineup. But that is different from what is trying to be put out there, which of course is this narrative that the Indiana Fever are a better basketball team without Caitlin Clark. That was started by, of course, Carolyn Peck, who is someone who has a long, long relationship with Stephanie White. Make that of it what you will. But it is other people that have said that. People have talked about, Caitlin's better for this team if she comes off the bench as a great six player, that she needs to change her game in order to fit in with the Fever instead of the other way around. And of course, the Fever have been winning some games now. They've been playing some bad teams, and they played a few good teams who just couldn't hit the ocean. Because as you also saw, when they play a team who is making their shots like the LA Sparks, because we all hear about how good the Fever have been defensively and how good a defensive coach Stephanie White is, they give up 100 points, 100 points to the Los Angeles Sparks. So I want to talk about this a little bit because also Candace Parker had some things to say on this, and a reminder first. Now, I'm going to play you a clip with Carolyn Peck that I think I might have played before, which was from about a month ago. And now, obviously, we've had more time with Caitlin out, but Carolyn Peck was on the halftime show of, oh man, I forget the game. It was the one they just played on the weekend on Sunday. Completely drawn a blank on who they played. Oh my goodness. But anyway, of course, she was in the halftime show for that. And once again, reiterated the nonsense that the Indiana Fever are a better team without Caitlin Clark.
You were at that game just now. Look, the Fever have been on a tear. They've won 2 in a row, a 25-point blowout of the Lynx in the Commissioner's Cup final, and then 27 against the Aces in this one. And both of those games without Caitlin Clark. How is Indiana getting this done right now?
Look, I think that Indiana is even more dangerous when Caitlin Clark doesn't play because she's a ball-dominant guard. The ball's in her hands a lot, so you know what you need to try to take away. But when you look at Indiana now, they've got so many weapons. And Kelsey Mitchell is playing out of her mind. Aaliyah Boston. I talked to Stephanie White before the game. She said in year 1, Aaliyah Boston was back to the basket. Year 2, two-man game. Year 3, they're using her as a decision maker. And so when you have a point guard like Kelsey Mitchell and Ari McDonald making plays on the perimeter and a post like Aaliyah Boston, I'm going to tell you, at Indiana, they are a threat. And specifically on the defensive end, Stephanie is so pleased with the intensity that they're bringing defensively with their length, their switches. I mean, they've wreaked havoc on their last 2 opponents.
Basically, what she just said is that Ari McDonald is a better point guard than Caitlin Clark, because she mentioned Kelsey Mitchell, and we know Caitlin Clark has made Kelsey Mitchell a much, much better player. And she talked about Aaliyah Boston in the post, and we all know that Aaliyah Boston is a much, much better player with Caitlin Clark. She mentioned the two-man game, the pick and roll, and so forth. Kelsey Mitchell getting wide open looks with Caitlin Clark out there. So she's saying that Ari McDonald is a much, much better player than Caitlin Clark. She also talked about, year 3, she's becoming a decision maker. Aaliyah Boston became a decision maker last year. So we're going to have to give the credit to, obviously, to the players, to Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston, of course. But if we're going to make that about a coach, then we have to give the credit to Christy Sides, because Aaliyah Boston was a decision maker last year. We've talked about that last year. We talked about her threatening a triple double and that she was going to get one of those eventually. I think There was one game. What was her high in assists last year? I think 8. She had 8 assists one game, and people started talking about Aaliyah Boston as a passer. And she is. She also has a high basketball IQ. But that came last year, Carolyn Peck. That did not come this year under Stephanie White. You mentioned the defense. I also mentioned that they just gave up 100 points to the Los Angeles Sparks team with a losing record. And that has become the narrative a lot that the team is better without Caitlin Clark because it's spread around a little more. She's ball dominant. There have been a lot of great players who are ball dominant. There's a difference between being ball dominant in the way a selfish player is. Oh, man, I hesitate to say this because I don't want to use a teammate and it makes issues, but I'll just say a player on the team who I could say could be much more ball dominant than Caitlin Clark, or a couple players actually, but then they get tunnel vision and the only thing they think about is the bucket that they are going to get. It's one of the reasons I think we don't see Sophie Mitchell, Sophie Cunningham getting passes when she's wide open for three because the players who have the ball, they've made up their mind that they're going to the basket. Whereas Caitlin Clark led the league in assists last year. Caitlin Clark led the nation in assists in college 3 years out of 4, and I think she was second the other year, freshman year, correct? It's the second. I think she led the nation in high school multiple seasons. I mean, this idea that being ball dominant somehow makes the other players less than, with a player like Caitlin Clark and her basketball IQ and her vision and her passing ability, is absolutely absurd. It is telling me you either don't know basketball at all, Carolyn Peck, or you have serious, serious issues that have nothing to do with basketball, which has me questioning the quality of you as a human being. So anyway, oh man, I know we've been mentioning her a lot lately, but I'll tell you what, Candace Parker has not been afraid to drop some reality on the WNBA and all of their hate for Caitlin Clark. So she had some things to say about whether this team is better without Caitlin Clark.
And for those naysayers out there that are like, you're better without Caitlin, they're not. They're not better without Caitlin. But I do feel like times like this, different people step up. Just like Natasha Howard stepped up during the Commissioner Cup. Yep. Like, it shows. And it can be a growth opportunity for teams. Like, Caitlin is one of those people that has a high IQ. So I know she's watching, and I know she's going to come back and make you all that much better. So
there you go. Candace Parker, because we keep hearing about how much we have to respect the legends of the game. It's interesting, though, when Candace Parker is now spewing narrative that is different than what the old guard WNBA wants, that has been lessened a little bit. We don't necessarily have to respect Candace Parker as a legend of the game anymore. But there you heard it. Caitlin Clark, high basketball IQ. She's watching. She's going to come back and make the team better. And we've talked about that many times before. Caitlin Clark is one of those rare players that elevates the play of her team. She also made a very insightful point that I think is true. Without Caitlin Clark on the court, other players get to step up in big moments and grow 100%. Now, that doesn't mean that then when Caitlin Clark comes back, you diminish her and you take away what she does to make the team better because of those players. No, it just, you have her come back and you have her be Caitlin Clark, and the players you're playing with are that much more dangerous and that much better because they know what they can do now under difficult circumstances. They know what they can do in big moments of games, which allows them to become more of a threat. So you understand what that does? That doesn't mean you make Caitlin Clark less. That means other teams are in trouble because the way we've seen Caitlin Clark guarded in her WNBA career may not be the best thing for opposing teams to do now. Now they have to make a very, very difficult choice. Do we keep putting the kind of pressure we've been putting on Caitlin Clark because we want to disrupt her, because we want to take things away from the game that she brings? Or because now we know what other players can do. And Caitlin Clark, of course, we all know with her passing ability and her basketball IQ that she is going to get the ball to the right player in the right situation to maximize their talent, to have them get buckets. So do you continue going after Caitlin Clark to take away her? Because the end result is no longer going to be necessarily drop passes and missed layups, we hope. It's going to be more buckets than what we've gotten before off of Caitlin Clark passes. So do you still continue to take Caitlin Clark away? Because here's the flip side of that. If you say, oh, you know what? These other players and what they bring and how much they've grown without Caitlin Clark, we need to worry more about them now. That means you're not putting the same defensive pressure on Caitlin Clark that you have been putting on her. So guess what? Now Caitlin Clark is going to be able to do Caitlin Clark things with the basketball a lot easier. Caitlin Clark is now going to be open more often for a three, and it doesn't have to be from 30 feet. It can be from 25. Caitlin Clark is going to find it easier to get to the bucket because she's got more space and less defensive pressure. Caitlin Clark is going to be able to get her midi game going, which she does actually have, even though she doesn't use it a lot, because there's less defensive pressure. So now it becomes a lot more about pick your poison when you play the Indiana Fever with Caitlin Clark if Stephanie White does the right thing and does not try and change Caitlin Clark to fit the team. That is going to be the key. Do not do that. That is going to be the big question when she comes back. If you let Caitlin Clark be Caitlin Clark, the team will be even better than it was with her before because of everything I just mentioned. Because teams are going to have to decide, do we continue to put that kind of pressure on Caitlin Clark? Which means maybe she only gets 15 points, 12, 15 points, and maybe she shoots a slightly worse percentage than usual, but other players are lighting us up and she's averaging 15 assists a game. Or do we slack off of Caitlin Clark, take away these other weapons, and now Caitlin Clark's going for 30, 35, and she's shooting 45% from three because she's shooting with less pressure? Because remember, again, Caitlin Clark I shouldn't say always seems, last year and so far this year, leads the league in unassisted baskets because she has to get her own looks because her teammates don't get her the ball. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on all this in the comments below. What do you expect when she comes back? And I don't mean initially. She's going to get her legs under her. She's going to need time to get back into the rhythm and all that. But when Caitlin Clark is back to 100% and in game condition, what do you expect to see from her and from the team? That's going to be very interesting. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for checking out this video. Appreciate it. As always, go have the day you deserve. Smash the like button, subscribe. I will talk to you later.